Well, howdy y'all. Well, see, I got the dirt smoothed out. Unfortunately, my camera decided to turn off by itself, so I didn't get none of it on video. And I keep having this issue here, so I'm hoping I solved it this time. I found a big eye bolt. I kept losing the pin out of here. So I found a big eye bolt. And at first, I had the two nuts on there like that, and it lost the nuts, and then thank God the eye bolt fell right down there. So I was able to find the eye bolt this time. Now I put a locking nut on it with washers and cranked a P-waddle out of it, so I'm hoping now it won't come back apart. But I did get out there and help Mary out there with the chickens' pens a little bit this morning. Got some dirt smoothed out around it a little bit for them. And I guess now I'm going to come over here and work on the shop a little bit and see if I can't get Jeff's machine over here. I do have to do some reorganizing before I get the machine over here. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do today. And then Monday I will get the machine over here and see if I can't find this leak and go from there. So for right now, I think we've got this handled so that we can kind of keep our puddles down a little bit. It looks like we do have to move some more stuff right here though. And you know, we had all this looking all pretty right here, but now it's starting to puddle up right here. So pretty much all of this stuff right here has to go. So that's why it's sitting like it is right now. We're gonna get rid of all the rocks, and I'm gonna fill all this, backfill all this with dirt right here. As high as I can anyway, to get all the water to run out this way. So I will be moving the windows and the gas fire pit, all that stuff. And I am going to start working on the pergola also here soon. Joe and I come up with a plan for me to make it happen by myself. So basically I'm going to jack this side up, take the platforms out there, the concrete there, fill it in, get them to height, run a string line down each side so that I can get them all to level height, and then just do one side at a time. And I think that's going to be my best bet, to do it by myself, and then I can just leave it in place and not have to worry about moving it. It is what it is, y'all. You know, when you live by yourself, or when you're by yourself, you know, most of the time, you've learned to figure out how to do things by yourself, and looks like that's what I'm gonna have to do. So it is what it is. So anyway, this looks a lot better right here. Not a big old hole there anymore. I still got a couple more things I want to move. I'm gonna take the ladder out of there and just move it over there by the shop. Like I said, I still got a few more things I got to move around out here. But it's blistering hot again today. Yesterday it was 100 degrees. Today it's 100 degrees. So, you know, you do what you can when you can. Take breaks often, drink lots, and you know, just do what you can. You know, I'm not as young as I used to be. You know, 10 years ago I could sit out there in that 100-degree weather and just work my tail off, you know, but I'm fixing to be 61, so you know, it's not as easy as it used to be. But I'm getting there, you know. Like I said, I just take my breaks as I can. So anyway, let me get back to that, and I'll bring you back here in just a short. Hopefully my camera will stay on this time instead of shutting off. And you know what's funny, because when it shut off by itself. I came back over to turn it back on, wouldn't turn back on, took it in the house, and thought, all right, well, swap the battery. Maybe it was the battery was dead, even though it was a brand new battery. Still wouldn't turn on. And then I go outside. I figure, well, I'm gonna go outside and tinker a little bit. And so I come out here to tinker a little bit, come back inside, and the damn thing turned itself on inside the house. Imagine that. So it's got a mind of its own. But anyway, let me get back to doing something here. It is Sunday, and you know, it's supposed to be a chill day, but you know, around here that just doesn't happen. I can't just sit, y'all. Even if I only do a little bit, I can't just sit. And even if I don't do anything really productive, at least I'm doing something. So every day I do that. So anyway, let me get back at it, and I'll be back.
We packed our dreams, left the sunshine behind. Now Arkansas calls, where the land's untamed and wild. Gary, Mary, Melly, we're carving out of space, building a homestead at our own pace. Welcome to Junktojems, where the work never tiny house dreams. Every day's a challenge, but it's sweeter than it seems. Downsizing our life, but living more free. Come along, share this life with me. Welcome to Junktojems, where the work never ends. Off-grid living with our family and friends. We got houseboats to build and tractors to mend. Join the journey, let the adventure begin. From the live chats, we'll tell you what's new. Sharing our progress and projects with you. From Florida's coast to Arkansas hills, we're chasing freedom and chasing thrills.
All right, well, it looks like after all that, the lock nut is holding, thank God. All right, so it's looking better. It's one thing about a box blade, you just got to keep moving it around, I did find my little platform out there, and I'm gonna have to be doing some welding here soon to build me a platform for this back here on the back of the box blade to get me some weight on it, because you know, I can't really put big logs on it because of this bar here wanting to bend all the time. You know, I stiffened that up, so I'm gonna figure out a system to hook on there and make that happen. So in the meantime, I need a water break. I'll be back. All right, well, heat started getting to me a little bit, so I had to come over here and find me something to do in the shade. That shop was just way too hot over there, y'all. It's right in the dead sun, so I just couldn't deal with it. So I got me some red string out here with some of that plastic marking tape anyway, so I can get me a straight line down through here so I can figure out where this fence is gonna go. So I'm gonna set a couple of posts here and see what I can do with it. See what kind of stuff we can make happen. Alright, so that's 64 feet across there. So I went down 100 feet, and it goes back in the bushes quite a ways here, so I will get back in here and clean some more of that out right through there, and make that a little prettier, and then we'll go from there. So, but at least that's one section of it anyway, and that'll help deter the dogs. And once all this grows back up, it'll be pretty nice. So basically, I just came off the telephone pole and kind of got a fairly straight line down through there. It's in a little bit, but you know, I didn't want to be too far up into that tree. I wanted to give the bushes some room to grow so we can get in there and mow as well. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not too worried about it. So overall, I guess could be a little straighter down through there. I mean, after all, I am using tape and not string, but overall not too bad. I'll probably pull a couple of them up and straighten them up just a little bit, but like I said, looking down through there, there's only one that's really out that I see, and that's this one right here. So that's a little better. Straighten them out as I go here. Like I said, I'm not putting them in with string, so all right, that's a little better, and I'll have to bring them two in some more, but I'll go get the clippers. I'll clip this back just a little bit, so like I said, so we can get in this way with a mower and what have you like that. That's the plan anyway. Look at this tree growing up through a brick. Didn't even see it up in there. Now the original fence was over here. You can even see that's one of the old posts right there. Was out here a little further, but again, I'd rather be able to get in there and mow it, and still allow that to grow up and keep our privacy down through there, because we would like the vines and everything to grow up into the fence and you know, keep that real private there. So all right, I'll be back. Yay, I have success. Look, I finally got the air compressor fixed up, y'all. So this will be my output right here, so I can turn this on and off. This is to connect the two tanks. My input is in the back, so we're gonna try it out and see how it works. And as you can see here, I got this on-off valve. It's not the greatest of valve. It's been beat up pretty bad for a while, but I got another one to replace it. But for right now, I'm just trying to make sure everything is going to work that way. So look at this. The tanks were full when I first started. It drained that tank that quick. So we're going to see how that works out. My other hose is in the barn over there, but I am going to hook up a little one. One of the little ones I was telling you about. Because eventually, once I get all these benches finished down through here, I will have air right here with these little hoses and the fittings out there, so I can just plug these in real quick and have air throughout on the benches in the shop. Have the air compressor out there underneath the lean-to. So let me hook this up and see how this is going to work. Set y'all up right here for a minute. how fast it's building up. I know it's going to take it a bit to build up, so we'll see. But before, with all the leaks, I couldn't get it over 20 pounds. And so far, I'm at 30 pounds, so. Let's take a break and I'll bring you back with that and see how long it takes. Bit, but it's getting there. Look at this. That poor little compressor working his heart out. But in Florida, this little bitty junk, I won't even call it junk, because that my little bitty really quiet air compressor held up and kept my shop going with these two big tanks. I had air, abundance of air. And so it just took a little while for it to do it. And you can even feel the hose. It's getting hot, y'all. Just from it pumping so long. Right here, the hose is getting pretty hot. Not hot enough to do any damage, but it's getting pretty hot. But again, look at these two tanks, y'all. I mean, these are pretty good sized tanks as they're starting to fill. And we're also getting, we're trying to get about 150 PSI out of these, you know, so we're about 110 right now. So that's a lot of air. And you gotta figure, the tires on Bertha, right there, that's a good sized tire. I mean, look at this. I'm 6'3", y'all. Look at the size of the tire there. So again, that's a lot of volume of air. And this is down in Florida. It really helped my shop a lot. So eventually I will get this shop set up and I will have an abundance of air again. Because air makes all the difference. You need air for a lot of things in a shop. Even though we've got battery operated tools and everything nowadays, air makes the difference. You know, especially with blowing stuff off, and if you can get a good high pressure, 150 PSI, like this one here, you need that. So especially if you're trying to paint something and you're using a paint sprayer, an airless, or an air sprayer, like to paint cars and what have you like that, you know, it works good. Sandblasting. That was the original reason I put these two together, was to do sandblasting. But, you know, surprising enough, I never could find a sandblaster that was worthy enough to handle it. I bought one of the Harbor Freight ones, the big ones, and now you can't get media good enough to make that happen. So I am going to try, eventually down the road, something different for sandblasting, or, you know, for media blasting. And because, you know, in Florida we got sand, we got plenty of sand, getting the sand to dry out and be clean all the time to go through a good sandblaster is that's almost impossible. And to try to buy media online, even online, you get this small little box and it's 50 pounds and it doesn't last very long at all. So and then you're trying to pick up all the sand all over again. But anyway, we're going to keep going with this. I'll bring you back here in a few minutes once we get let's see how long it takes to get 150 psi out of these tanks. All right, we'll be back. Well, it's been about 20 minutes so far, and again, that's a lot of air to get in these two big old tanks. So 20 minutes ain't too bad for let's say about 100 and let me see, we're almost at 123, something like that. So it's getting there. The compressor says 200 psi. I don't know what the regulator will actually put out, but we'll see. I'd like to see it get, you know, 175, 180 psi. I've got the regulator opened up all the way as far as it'll go, and it says 200 psi, so we'll see. 200 psi right there, with a regulator on the tank itself would be really sweet, but I just don't know. We are putting this Fortress High Performance Series, and now this is from Harbor Freight, so we are putting it to the test to see if it can really do what they claim it can do. And no, this is not a paid promotion or nothing like that. This is just a compressor we got from Harbor Freight, and we are going to test it. I'm gonna see if this dog will work, see if it'll really put it out. You know, I did when I first started YouTube a couple years ago, I did a review on a compressor tool, same thing, and see how well it would do and how quiet it really was compared to, you know, what they claimed. And it did fairly well. I was actually impressed with it. The fact that it was so quiet I could set it in my shop and not have to yell. Now you see, I'm probably 15 feet away from that compressor right now, so I'm hoping you can hear me. And yeah, the Fortress is a little on the loud side, but on the same note, 200 psi for a little bitty compressor like this is pretty impressive if it hits it. So Harbor Freight, if you're listening, or any of you other tool people out there that make compressors, if you think you can beat this Fortress, let me know. I'd be interested to try your system, because like I said, eventually this whole shop is going to have outlets around it and out here underneath the carport. So I want plenty of air. I do like a lot of air, especially when I'm trying to blow stuff off. And if you've got a little bitty tank on a compressor, you know that you can't blow stuff off, but only for a minute or two, and then you got to listen to that compressor run for 20 minutes trying to keep up. So with 180 gallons, 175, 80 gallons of air right here, we'll see. So I'll bring you back when it hits, when it gets up there a little bit farther, and we'll see what happens. All right. All right. So again, we're about 25 minutes now, and I shut it off. I'm at 125 psi. So I'm gonna check, see what we got for leaks. I'm sure there's gonna be, because I haven't put any thread tape on anything and what have you like that. So we're going to go ahead and tighten up a few of these real quick. This right here was more of a test for the for the fittings and what have you like that. That's probably why it's not building up as fast. because you know I do hear a couple of air leaks. But again, I will go back through this and tighten all this down. Once I figure out that, you know, that this is actually going to do it. My main concern with all of this really was the PEX, whether it was going to hold or not. Yep, so I got a little bit there. So I know that this one, I definitely know that this one's going to need flex tape. So yep, all of them pretty much going to need tape on them, which is, like I said, par for the course, y'all. All right, so now that we know our PEX right here, this is what connects the two tanks right here. I got no leaks on the brass here. Little tiny one right there that I can, a little bit of tape will do that, or a little bit of putty will do that. My main air leak is right here. So shut this valve off. Alright, so I'm going to have to put a okay, so I've got one up in here too. Right there at the top. Is that fitting? So I know I got to put tape. So I'll have to put basically tape on every joint on this, which is, like I said, normal, and I expected that. But for the most part, my valve is doing okay. I do have another good cutoff valve that I'm going to be using on it right here. So I will be putting this one in exchange for this PVC one right here. So again, I got to 125 psi. I'm back down to 120. But like I said, well, this was just the test to make sure this PEX was going to hold. And so far, this PEX says 100 psi and 160 psi there. So you can read, I don't know if you can read that or not, but 160 psi. I doubt ever I will be using 120 to 160 psi, but let's open her up and see how she does. Not many air compressors can hold that long, y'all. As far as blowing that kind of air pressure. Good Lord, I got these new lifts at Walmart. You know, I can't speak sometimes. You know, I come with a Japanese instruction. I don't read Japanese. Anyway, no offense, Japanese people. You know me, I like to mess with everybody. I don't care where you come from, what your skin color is, what your status is in the world. I don't care if you're rich, poor, or otherwise, if you're homeless or whatever. I don't care. Okay? If I can find a joke about it, I'm going to find a joke about it. You know? I don't mind people picking at me all the time. It doesn't bother me a bit. But, you know, don't get your butt hurt over it. You know what I mean? But Fortress, I gotta tell you, so far, other than her getting real hot, running that long, not too bad. I'm gonna fix the air leaks here in a little bit. Now that it's cooling down some, you know, I was out there, I tried to do a little fencing, I tried to come over here and work on the shop a little bit, but the shop was just brutal hot over here earlier, y'all. And now that the sun's starting to go down a little bit, I can actually get over here and do something. So right now it's only like 99 right here where I'm standing, which is better than earlier. It was like 108 standing right here in this shop. So I even got a handy dandy thermometer, and I should have recorded it earlier about the temp in here earlier, but I didn't. So let's see what it's saying right now. Okay. Look at this, y'all. Okay, that's the roof. Okay, this is the walls in the shade. So if that tells you anything right there, that tells you anything how hot it was trying to work out here in this shop. Okay, I do have my squirrel cage fan, but man, that was still kicking. It was just blowing hot air and it wasn't even tolerable. So the reason the truck is sticking out, y'all, just so you know, I've got this big piece of glass on the back of it and the tailgate's down. So I'm going to be moving that and getting rid of these weeds. And then I will be pushing the truck back there to the back of the shop. And this way I can get the engine compartment underneath there to where I can start doing some of that. It's finally drying out. So anyway, let me get back to it. We've been letting Smoke run around because he's been being a good boy today. Huh, Smoke? He's been being a good boy today. Yes. He has, being a good boy, huh? And so let me get in here and get this done. And take a little break, get me a water. And then I'm going to drain all the air out of this thing and put thread tape on all the fittings. And I'll bring you back for that in just a short. All right? See you in a short. All right. So we got it all taped up. Everything's working good. I am going to jack it up a little bit and get it level. And I will put the other drain valve on there at some point. I'm still waiting on a 90 for the drain valve, so it's not sitting on the ground. But in the meantime, now you know how to take a couple of old air tanks, an old air compressors basically, take the compressors part off, put the two tanks together, just pipe them together like I've done here. On the back side is my input right back there, and output right here with a cutoff valve. So, and then on the bottom of this tank is where we put our drain valve, and I have a drain valve here. I just got to get a 90 to put it on there, and that's basically just PVC, which I'm sure I have around. I just ain't found it yet. So we're gonna work on that. Also, the rest of my day is going to be working on cutting this shop out so that I can get Jeff skid steer in here and get that handled. Hopefully we can find the leak fairly easy and it'll go pretty fast, but we'll see. So in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope this helped you turn your little tiny air compressor into a giant air compressor out of junk, and we'll see y'all next time. Don't forget, like and subscribe. The Junktojems, because you never know what kind of junk we're going to turn into a gem, and who knows, that junk maybe you that we're turning into a gem. I hope this helps. So, and next time, we'll see you soon.